This is where I get frustrated.
Don't even open that can of worms.
Like horrifying.
Horrifying. Not allowed to cry or have emotions in your house.
Like, do you really need to know what Zymoglyphosate is? Or
Oh, Jessica.
everyone has a favorite. Everyone does. Okay, today we are talking about insomnia and insufficient sleep. Lauren's gonna head this game. So
Yeah.
Go on, girl.
Okay. So this has become a huge problem, not just in the U.S. This is like a worldwide issue, but I think we in the U.S. probably struggle a little more with this than some other places.
Okay.
And it's super concerning, like, you know, what can happen in kids if they have chronic insomnia or insufficient sleep. Okay. So just to let you know, how much sleep are kids supposed to get?
Okay.
And I've looked at this so many times, but every time I look at it, I'm like, oh my God, I don't think my kids get enough sleep.
Yeah.
Okay, so newborns 0 to 3 months are supposed to get 14 to 17 hours in a 24-hour period of time, of sleep. Infants up to 12 months, 12 to 16 hours. Toddlers 1 to 2 years, 11 to 14 hours. Preschoolers 3 to 5 years should get 10 to 13 hours.
Oh shit, really?
Yeah. 6 to 12-year-old children, which they call school-age children, should get 9 to 12 hours of sleep. And then adolescents 13 to 18 should get 8 to 10 hours. So kids need a lot of sleep. A lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
And people gasp when I tell them my kid's bedtime.
Yeah.
But if that Rhodes hits that pillow, I mean, he out. And no guarantee that I can tell when he takes a nap at whatever camp or not. I'll almost I don't want him to take a nap.
Yeah.
I would
because
rather.
then he sleeps more at night.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
But my kids go to bed at Monroe will stay up and cause a ruckus in her room, but she's not coming out.
Right.
But Rhodes is out at 6:30. We graduated from 5:45 to 6:30, but they ain't coming out until 6.
Yeah.
And he may get up earlier, but he's in his room playing or whatever, and he may also fall, but he may wake up, play, go back to sleep. Anyways, but because they need that sleep.
Yeah. 2 of mine do okay if they don't get enough sleep. It doesn't really rattle them that much. One of mine is and you know who it is, is the freaking Hulk. If if he gets 30 minutes less than his normal, it just totally throws him off.
Yeah. And it Rhodes too. He I can just see we're going to school and if he didn't get enough sleep that night or whatever, he looks tired. He his emotional regulation is to shit.
Yeah.
Everything he's just chaotic. Yeah. So
and to be fair, I'm a freaking nightmare if I don't get enough sleep.
Oh,
I am so sensitive to it, and unfortunately I'm always chasing sleep.
Yeah.
Good sleep, you know?
I know.
It's just so elusive in my life.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's some statistics from the CDC. Okay, so they did this study from 2009 to 2021.
Oh, God.
So adolescents, again, should be getting 8 to 10 hours of sleep in order to stay healthy, just baseline health, okay? Anything less than 8 hours is considered insufficient sleep or short sleep duration, all right? The prevalence of insufficient sleep for teenage girls in 2021 was 80%.
I believe that.
Okay? Yeah. For teenage boys, it was 75%. That's out of control.
I think it's because they have phones in there.
Yep, that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Okay, and so just for reference, so there was another study 1991 to 1995. Only less than 50% of 15-year-olds had insufficient sleep. So that's still not great. Yeah. But it's gotten far worse in the past 30 years. Okay, and then I couldn't
screens,
find
no problems. I had a TV in my room, and there was a time. Honestly, I'd say within the past 7 years, I used to have to fall asleep to
with the TV.
Yes. With the show, Friends, something a repeat, whatever. Because I definitely did when I was a kid.
Yep.
And I've graduated now to no TV, but I have to listen to a silly podcast or something to fall asleep. But the 1991 whatever. I was too little, but. Anyways, I had to fall asleep to a TV when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And now there's just 85 different screens.
Yeah. And I wish I could find I keep hearing this statistic about in the 70s what the rate of insufficient sleep was, and it was so low, but I couldn't find it anywhere. So anyway, it was a lot lower, I can tell you that.
It's probably in the library.
Yeah. Yeah. Which I don't have access to. Yeah. So, okay. So, This, of course, is where Louisiana just looks just wonderful, this statistic. Children 4 months to 14 years old, 25 to 50% of them across the U.S. do not get sufficient sleep. Louisiana was the worst.
Yeah, what is it?
At 50.3% of kids are getting insufficient sleep. Unfortunately, we tend to be like the trailblazers with all the bad stuff with health in Louisiana.
Because of poverty.
Yeah. So I did see that like there's a huge link between insufficient sleep or chronic insomnia and like lower socioeconomic status. Yep.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that.
Yep.
Can't wait. Keep going.
Okay, so just to kind of like talk about like how does sleep happen in the brain? Okay, because when you read the research on it over and over again, they say most of sleep is like still a mystery to scientists. Like we still don't really understand what's the purpose of sleep. Okay. We kind of know some of what happens, but the majority of it is still unknown. Okay. So basically, it's all or most of it is controlled by light exposure. Okay. So light enters your eyes. You get little signals sent to the nerves in a part of your brain called the hypothalamus. And that's the part of your brain that controls sleep and wakefulness. Okay. There are some other parts of the brain that are involved in this, like the brainstem, that sends signals to your body to relax during REM sleep so that you don't like act out your dreams and like kick people and punch them and stuff.
Okay, wait. You know what's interesting? Okay, so I'm thinking back like caveman time or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. And like whatever, without like a house and stuff.
Yeah.
Like you would think that like nighttime is when you need to be awake because that's like when predators are there.
Well, and I actually didn't think about that, but now that you're saying it, it's like, wow, they were so vulnerable during REM sleep.
Yeah.
If a lion came in that den and they're in REM sleep and they couldn't defend themselves.
That's so weird. It's like contradictory.
Yeah. Maybe, I've never thought about that. Yeah.
Like who like dumb body.
Yeah. Like it doesn't seem like survival-wise. It seems like that would have been selected out, the sleep thing, but it hasn't, obviously.
Or maybe they did whatever. We can get into that later.
Maybe they didn't sleep as much. Actually, there is a lot of research that people like eons ago did not sleep the way that we did in like long stretches at night. Yeah,
because I was just thinking about it. I bet they did like shifts of like who stays awake all night to stay.
Yep.
Anyways.
Well, and they tended to sleep in like it was more like naps. Like little chunks of time. Yeah. So probably that because they were like trading.
God, that's like when you have a newborn.
Yeah, basically.
Sucks.
So some other things that happen, we all know like melatonin gets released in the brain. It's by a part of the brain called the pineal gland, and that's in response to the sun going down. Okay. And the melatonin is supposed to make you sleepy, prepare for sleep. All right. And then the amygdala and the thalamus, I know people have probably heard about the amygdala in terms of like fear responses, but it's also very important in dreaming. So they become active during REM sleep to produce dreams. Okay.
Wait, what's REM sleep?
REM is when you're like dreaming and you're frozen. So your body is like paralyzed basically.
What?
Okay. So that's why when people get sleep paralysis, it's because they're waking up during REM sleep, but they can't move. Okay. Versus like other stages of sleep, your body still can move around. Okay.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
I know. It's kind of weird. Sleep is kind of a bizarre thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is all going back to light exposure. All right. So we're going to get into in a minute, like why we're having so many problems with sleep now. Part of it is because we have all this like artificial light exposure, right?
Correct.
Okay. So stages of sleep, I mean, kind of like we said, like there's basically like light sleep, which is when you're falling asleep. All right. It's a very short stage of sleep. Yeah. And it's just like your all the processes in your body are starting to slow down. Okay. So like your muscles are relaxing, your eye movements are slowing down, your heart rate, your breathing, all of that's slowing down. Okay. And then you get to stage 2, which is like still light sleep, but it's right before you get into the deep sleep. All right. So all of those functions are continuing to slow down. Your eye movements completely stop. Okay. Your brain waves slow down. But then there's like little bursts of like electrical activity. Okay. And so that's a longer stage of sleep. Stage 3 is a period of deep sleep. And that's what we really need in order to like wake up feeling refreshed during the day. Okay. So part of what we see in insomnia is just like not enough time sleeping, but then the other part of it is not enough deep sleep.
That was when I used to wear, I need to get back at it, but
Oh,
like my
I know, me
Fitbit
too.
or whatever to track. And because anyways, it would always, like within the deep sleep, I would never get enough deep sleep. Like that was my main, what's it called? Like,
issue, whatever. Yeah. Yep.
Anyways, but yeah.
Yeah. So that's something I see a lot is like people will tell me, yeah, I slept for 8 hours or 9 hours, but like they still feel like shit and they're like super fatigued during the day. And it's probably because they're not getting enough of the deep restorative sleep. And then we have, so all of those like stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, those are all non-REM sleep. And then there's REM sleep. Okay. So during REM sleep, it's literally REM means rapid eye movement. Okay. So your eyes are like moving rapidly behind your closed eyes, which is like kind of creepy. And then the brain waves, the frequency changes a lot. Okay. So it's actually closer to what you see in a awake brain versus a sleeping brain. Okay. Your breathing actually gets faster, more irregular. Your heart rate and your blood pressure go up, closer to what they would be when you're awake. And this is when dreaming occurs. Again, so your muscles are actually paralyzed or supposed to be paralyzed during this stage of sleep so that you're not acting out your dreams. Although people can have a disorder where their muscles don't paralyze like they're supposed to, and they do act out the dreams. Okay.
That's crazy. But that is a symptom of like PTSD, huh?
No, some people can just have it.
Oh.
Yeah.
But I mean,
yes,
like
that can yes. Yeah.
What is it called? Sleep paralysis or no?
No, that's what's it called? Shoot, I can't remember the name. Okay. But yes, that can happen when people have trauma vets, and they're in a nightmare. They can act out the nightmare. Okay. Yes.
Got it.
The other super important part, when we talk a lot about memory, and I'm going to go into this again in a moment. But that is something that happens in both non-REM and REM sleep, and is a super important part of sleep. But as you get older, your time in REM sleep decreases. Okay. So super interesting, I think, just to like learn about the sciencey parts of it. I mean, at least for me. Okay. So like what are the important things that we do know happen in the brain and the body during sleep, since there is a lot that we don't know. Okay. So again, memory consolidation. So this is, this is what I try to harp on when I talk to kids and teenagers is like, okay, you're staying up until 2 a.m. studying and then you're only getting 4 hours of sleep. Well, everything that you're studying is just like going out the window because you're not consolidating it in your sleep, right? So it's like negating all of your efforts. There's a lot of removing of toxins in your body, that like whatever toxins you accumulate during the day, and this happens in your body and your brain. Okay, and in your body or your brain kind of goes through this process of like dumping the waste, basically. Okay. A lot of like regeneration of nerve cells in your brain happens while you're asleep, repair of brain cell damage. And then something that's also really important that I try to harp on to kids is like, this is when your immune system is rebuilding. Okay. So sleep is super important for like regeneration of your immune system and like creating immune responses to things. So like the less you sleep, the more likely you are to get sick. Okay. Okay, so why do so many kids not sleep enough or sleep well? Okay. One big thing that I know a lot of people have probably heard about in the media is that like our schedule, that we put kids on does not align with like their biological clock once they get into teenage years. Okay. So once you go through puberty, you're like become an adolescent, your biological clock, your circadian rhythm shifts back 2 hours. Okay. So like when you used to go to bed at 9 p.m. every night, like your biological clock shifts so that you get tired and want to go to sleep at 11 p.m. Okay. But unfortunately, we still have the same school start time for them, right? So we're like forcing them to still wake up at 6 o'clock or whatever and get to school. So then by default, they're not going to sleep as much. Okay.
Wait, why? So it goes from 9 to 11.
Yeah.
Why?
That's a great question.
Like
why?
What did you said? Circadian rhythm?
Your circadian rhythm. So your biological clock. Okay. All right. So we all have like a internal clock in our body that is ideally supposed to be like a 24-hour clock. Okay. And it's, there's a lot involved in that, like hormone release and melatonin release and all kinds of stuff. Okay. And so as you go into adolescence, like that whole time frame shifts back 2 hours. Okay.
Okay.
So your body like used to get tired at 9 o'clock. Now it gets tired at 11 p.m.
Like why?
I know. Great question. Don't know. I don't know if anybody knows that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right.
We just like know it as a fact. Okay. So this is why we see some schools in like California now are like making high school start, later in the morning. Okay. Because they recognize that the kids are getting less sleep overall for extended periods of time. And they did do a lot of studies on kids where they would, like in the mornings, this is kind of cool, they would allow them, like the first 2 hours of school, they would allow them to nap.
Yeah.
And they said that they went into deep sleep within like 2 to 3 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And the ones who were, I think they had like a control group that like couldn't nap and then an experimental group that could nap. And the ones that could nap, like their academic, performance was significantly better than the other kids. And the kids who couldn't nap, they found, they were testing like their attention span and their processing speed and all that kind of stuff. And it was like so bad. It was so bad. So it's like, we're making these kids get to school for 8 a.m., but then the first 2 hours, like they're not even like awake anyway. So it's like, what's the point? It's like lost time, unless you have the rare kid that actually goes to bed at 9 p.m.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's part of the problem is the biological clock.
Okay.
Second, like we said, light exposure. Okay. So we're getting, back before screens, our only light exposure, or really before like electricity, our only light exposure was the sun. Okay. And that's how we evolved to, that's how our circadian rhythm evolved, was to respond to the sun going up, the sun going down. Now with the light exposure, we're basically like confusing our brains. Okay. And blue light's the worst because blue light mimics like what we get from the sun. Okay. So light exposure from screens, especially in the hour before bedtime, delays the natural release of melatonin in the brain, which then delays sleep onset. Okay. So we can't avoid screens. We know that they're part of life, but the worst time to use a screen is right before bed, which is when I find a lot of kids and teenagers are using their screens, right? Okay. Another thing is just like busy schedules. And I don't know how many teenage patients you see, but it's like, by the time they get home from soccer practice or football practice or whatever, and then they have to go sit and do their homework, like they're not finishing until 11 p.m., And it's, it's like we're just kind of setting them up for failure with that. Sleep hygiene, huge problem, right?
Like screens.
Yeah, just all of it. Like screens.
That's all sleep hygiene.
Like not having a routine before bed. Like, a lot of kids will do homework in their bed or study in their bed, which is a big no-no.
Oh, really? Why?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so there's this whole thing about like if you're supposed to only use your bed for sleep. Okay. And then for us adults, there's some other stuff that happens in the bed. But for kids, you're supposed to only use it for sleep. All right. So if you use your bed for other activities like watching TV, studying, whatever, your brain stops associating the bed with sleep.
Okay.
Okay. Versus if you go back to like only using it for sleep, there's an automatic like psychological association your brain makes to say like, if I'm getting in the bed, that means it's bedtime and I have to go to bed. I have to go to sleep. Okay.
I mean, that's what it is when you're a baby.
Correct. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Right. There's definitely some medical issues that can interfere with sleep. Sleep apnea is one that I actually sadly see a lot in kids.
I probably have it.
For various different reasons. It can be like because there are tonsils, obesity, definitely is a cause of that. So, it's important for adults to be looking into that. Like, does the kid snore? Are they sleeping with their mouth open a lot? Yes. Are they like kind of like waking up in a start? My husband has had sleep apnea forever and he won't do anything about it.
Oh, he doesn't have what is a CPAP?
No, because his is, I don't know. He has a deviated septum. He tried to get it repaired. That didn't go well. So he's a mouth breather and like literally multiple times a night. He's like, and it's like someone rising from the dead next to me. It's so bad.
Yeah.
And then we talked about like the, like restless leg syndrome or like periodic limb movements, that kind of stuff.
What about like sleepwalking?
Yeah. So sleepwalking actually, you're still asleep while it happens. So technically you're not, it's not affecting like duration of sleep, right? Most kids don't know that they're doing it, okay? If they're able to make it back to their bed or back to somewhere where they
lay down,
fall back asleep. I would say the big issue with that is that they're not getting restful sleep, most likely, So you might see these kids like more irritable or tired during the day because they're not getting enough like restorative sleep.
Yeah, okay.
Mental health issues can have a huge impact, right?
Okay.
Depression, anxiety, can interfere with falling asleep. It can interfere with staying asleep.
Why?
For anxiety,
like,
I would say
unmedicated or no, whatever. Untreated.
Yeah, or like insufficiently treated, I guess. Yeah, so like for anxiety, I tend to see worriers, their worst times are when they go to sleep at night, right? Because there's no other distractions for them.
Yeah,
and
it's
so
like empty space.
Exactly. So it's like all this time to think.
Yep.
And then if they happen to wake up in the middle of the night just because whatever, they have to pee or they're woken up by something, then the brain starts going again. Okay. And it's really hard to fall back asleep.
Is that like a chemical thing?
Well, no, because I guess like you can worry at any time, but I think it's just more that like when you are laying there in bed, there's nothing you can do to like shift your focus away from the worry, right?
But like, why can, like, I guess what I'm asking, like, why can some people shift and other people can't? Like, is it like a brain mechanism deficiency,
So I definitely think that could be playing into like there is a genetic component to sleep. Like some people just inherit genes that set them up for worse sleep over their life. So it could be like a mixture of like you have generalized anxiety and you have this like genetic predisposition to not sleep well, or it's like the severity of the anxiety. You know?
Like is that
probably. Like, is it neurochemical related?
Yes,
yeah, I would say so. Yeah. Like maybe you don't produce enough like GABA per se. Like GABA is like the neurochemical that's supposed to like calm down your brain. And like if you don't produce enough of that or your brain doesn't respond to it properly, then you're more likely to be like worrying excessively.
Okay, got it.
Yep.
What is depression? Okay, so that's anxiety. That's like very like kind of an obvious thing. Like not everyone, whatever. What is depression? How does depression?
I would say depression's a little bit more of a mystery there, like why or not how chemically or how like biologically is that affecting sleep. That I don't 100% know. I'm sure it has something to do with like how it affects serotonin and like dopamine and GABA levels and all that kind of stuff. Or like if people are really fatigued and sluggish because they're depressed and they're sleeping too much during the day, that can interfere with sleep at night. But that I don't 100% know like the process
what are they
that goes on.
About? Or like what's the like what do clients like report that happens?
I definitely see a lot of like if it's because you can have like the typical depression that we see is what we call like sluggish depression or like psychomotor retardation, where it's like that's the word where it's you are extremely fatigued all the time, you sleep too much, but a lot of times it's sleeping during the day and not at night, okay? But then you can have what we call atypical depression, where you have the psychomotor agitation, so you're like ramped up and you're like super like frenetic and anxious, and then you're just like you just have insomnia, like you're just not sleeping enough at all.
Like what are they doing instead? Just like
laying there trying to sleep.
But are they like I guess I'm like wondering, like anxious person is like worrying about or like stressing about.
Right.
And that's what's keeping them up.
Right.
Depressed person is up thinking what? You know what I mean? Like, what are they thinking about? Like, I just wonder, like, is it the same? Like, is it like anxious thought pattern? Is it like a worried thought pattern? Is it like I don't know.
I think it depends. So I think like for the depressed people who also tend towards anxiety, it's probably the same kind of like worried thoughts, like worried spirals, overthinking, overanalyzing, that kind of stuff.
Why are they two different? Like, the more I think about it, it's like anxiety, they're the same fucking thing.
Well, it's truly
it's like a spectrum.
It's a spectrum.
Like
nothing is the way we see it in the DSM.
Yeah.
You know?
Like why
That's why I don't give people diagnoses. People always ask me, like, what's my diagnosis? I'm like, I don't do that. I don't play that game because
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I'm going to treat the symptoms you have. And like, no one's like walking around like really officially meeting all the criteria in the DSM cleanly and nothing else. You know, I mean, it's just not life.
Weird. Okay.
Yeah, I agree with you though. Okay. Right. And then we see like neurodevelopmental problems like autism. I have so many kids with autism that just like, you know, they do not sleep.
Yeah, they need less sleep.
They need less sleep.
Yeah.
They tend to wake up super early, which is so hard for parents. I mean, it's just, it's so hard. And then ADHD, you know, kids who are super hyperactive often, they just like can't turn it off at night.
Do they not need it or they just can't get it?
That's a really good question. I would say more often they can't get it.
Okay.
And so we kind of have to help them get better sleep.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Consequences of sleep deprivation.
Yes. Okay. We see increased incidence of like accidents, injuries, car accidents. Mm-hmm. Okay. Delayed reaction time, so that plays into that.
Yeah.
The memory issue, so like, you know, decreased ability to create and store long-term memories, slower working memory, worsened attention, mood changes, you know, more depressed mood, more irritable mood. And then long-term, what do we see? Okay, so if someone's like chronically sleep deprived, which unfortunately is most teenagers nowadays, okay, increased rates of obesity, diabetes, impaired glucose tolerance, which is kind of like precursor to diabetes, increased rates of cardiovascular disease, so it's like heart attacks, strokes, high blood pressure, increased rates of anxiety and depression. So it's not good.
But like, how does insufficient sleep lead to obesity? Like, I don't understand.
So what we know so far is that sleep insufficiency is associated with lower levels of something called leptin, which is a hormone that's released by your fat cells, and it's supposed to suppress your appetite. Okay. And then like on the flip side, insufficient sleep also is associated with increases in something called ghrelin, which is a peptide that stimulates your appetite. So like you're more hungry and there's less of a check on your appetite.
Okay.
Got it. So just like over time you're eating more. You're just eating more.
Okay. Got it. Okay, so what can like we do?
Okay, so I think the most important thing is honestly like being proactive and preventative, right? So it's much easier to like educate parents when they have a newborn, you know, of like, here's what sleep should look like. Here's how to set up a good sleep environment for your kid. Here's the do's and the don'ts, okay? It's much harder when they're 17. And we're trying to like reel back all the bad behaviors, you know, and all the problems. So the best thing is like new parents being educated on this, okay? And then it's, you know, recognizing like reading the number of hours your kids are supposed to have. And if they're not getting that, like figuring out, okay, where's the pitfalls in my own family? Like, is it that we don't have a good routine? Are we too busy? Like, do my kids have too much screen time? You know, are we like enabling bad behaviors with sleep, right? Because that parenting is a big problem when it comes to sleep too, you know? Yeah. And then when it's like, you know, an adolescent, which it's harder because you have to get them on board with making changes, you know?
They don't like you.
And and they don't want to listen to adults. No. So it's like figuring out like, what is their motivation? You know, like I find for a lot of kids I see, if they really care about like their school performance or their sports performance, that's where I'm going to lean in. You know, that like, okay, here's how your sleep deficit is like impairing that, you know? And then as adults, like, we got to make sure that we're getting enough sleep, right? Okay. And we're prioritizing it because we're modeling that for our kids, right? Not to make anyone feel bad at all, okay? Because look, I do bad shit too. I watch my freaking computer in bed, which is terrible, you know, watching shows at night.
Like, I feel like reading in bed is fine.
Yeah. Oh, reading in bed is great.
Okay, well then,
reading in bed is fabulous.
Studying a textbook and reading in bed. What's the difference?
Because now they don't have textbooks, right? Now they're all on the computer.
Oh, so okay.
Yeah.
But if it were a textbook,
if it were an actual textbook, that would be fine.
Or like written homework.
Yep.
Okay. So
yep. That's definitely better than a screen.
Yeah.
Faux show.
Better or like, but going back to like the bed is only for sleep.
Well, if you're getting in bed, like if you say, okay, my bedtime, like I want to be asleep by 10 o'clock and you're getting in bed at 9 and reading something, like that's okay.
Okay.
You just don't want to be studying in bed during the day.
Oh.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. Oh, I see. I see.
So you can get in bed ahead of your actual sleep time and like have that like routine where you're like winding down for sleep. Yes, that is fine.
You do 20 minutes, you get in bed, do 20 minutes of flashcards, and you read your book.
Yes.
And night.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. Yeah. So like, I mean, I feel like newborn, infant, sleep, whatever it's called, not like sleep hygiene, but just like learning how to manage it, I guess.
Yeah, and like I think going into parenthood saying like here's going to be my like hard and fast rules, you know, because it is so hard when you are sleep deprived as a parent to hold on to your boundaries, right?
Yes.
And you got to go in knowing like, okay, my kids, for instance, not that everybody has to do this, like my kids will never sleep in my bed, period. Like it's not going to happen, you know, or like we're going to hold on to this bedtime no matter what. Like you have to make those rules at the gate and that makes it easier to stick to it. Right.
And then like if something goes awry, like catch it early.
Yes.
Seek out help faster.
Yep.
Like the longer you let it go, the higher the risk of it like prolonging.
And
becoming
it's
more
harder to reel
frequent.
it back in.
Correct. Okay. So everyone just like sleep better.
Yeah.
So
it should be a priority. It should, but you have to work at it. You know, it's not something that just happens. You got to work at it.
Nothing's easy these days.
Nothing's easy.
Couldn't even get into Costco yesterday.
I know. Oh, don't even go there anymore.
Anyways, okay. Everyone sleep better. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Little Brain Campaign podcast.
If you enjoyed our conversation, give us a follow on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode.
Do you know someone who would be interested in this topic? Take a minute to share this episode with them.
Until next time, remember, we're all just trying our best.
See you next week.